Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
We are here live with our third Truro Famous chat.
3 weeks in a row, Sam. Yay, us.
I know, I feel like we're committing to something here, Michelle.
Really? This is a monumental historical occasion for both of us.
It really is. So we're super excited to have our Truro Famous guest with us today. This wonderful lady, she won our second Truro Famous award back in 2017. She was at the time our MLA, is now an MP. And without further ado, here is Ms. Lenore Zann.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
How
Lenore.
are you doing?
It's nice to see your face. They're so used to seeing you, and now everybody is like, when you see somebody you know in person, you kind of freak out a little bit.
Listen, I know. It's like we've all been cooped up for so long, isn't it?
It's true.
So, yeah, it's nice to see both of you. It's been a long time.
It really has.
It has. I've been in your hood a little bit because my sister lives close by. So
Oh, yeah. Oh,
she
yeah.
lives,
So she's.
well, they live on Normandy Avenue, so I
Oh,
sometimes walk on your street.
yeah. That's just one over.
Yeah, yeah.
I love this area. It's so quiet and nice and residential, like so many of Truro's little streets.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the lilacs are all out. I just love this
Oh,
lilac time. My favorite time of year.
Yeah, I know. They're beautiful. I went to the Truro Vet yesterday and they have two large lilac bushes on either side of the entrance.
Oh,
And I just stood there and sniffed while I was waiting for them to come out.
I know. It's hard not to do lilac raiding, isn't it?
so true.
I remember lilac raiding when I was a teenager. We'd go at night and raid all the lilac bushes and take them home.
So
I have
Lenore,
one lilac bush in my yard, and it finally flowered this year, and you
yeah,
can smell the whole thing all through the yard. It's really pretty.
Oh,
I
nice.
love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We are fully aware of your busy schedule, so we appreciate you taking some time for us today.
Are you kidding? For local love, true, anything. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so funny because we watched you when I can't remember the name of it, but when Michael Landsberg was doing his special, and Michelle made reference to your local love award in the background of the.
Yes, I know. Well, I keep it in my home office on the wall there so that when I'm in Parliament or whatever I'm doing, you can see it in the background behind me.
It's lovely.
Yeah, it feels
Awesome.
good. It feels good to have it there.
So Lenore, walk us through kind of what, and this is a loaded question, I realize. So what,
Okay.
since you became our MP for Cumberland Colchester, what has been your experience? What has been your
Journey.
journey? Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's only been, what, 8 months since the election?
The election was October 21st, but I wasn't sworn in officially till November the 26th. So, it's been like about 7 months, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty horrendous, to be honest.
Yeah.
We've had one crisis after another, really. Canadians and Nova Scotians and Cumberland Colchester. We have weathered so many unexpected storms. I mean, if you had told me when I agreed to run that we would be, I would be a community leader during a global pandemic where everybody gets locked, you have to lock yourselves inside and not go out. Uh, and the biggest mass shooting in Canadian history, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah.
I mean, just those two things alone. And then, a missing little boy just down the road from my house, Salmon River, the searching for him, the downed helicopter with the Abigail, who was the piper who had just piped for our tragedy and the 22 lost souls here. And then a week later, she was gone. I mean, you can't make up this stuff. And it's so emotionally draining. And then the snowbirds, you know, we all watched as the snowbirds flew overhead to make us feel better about our tragedy. And then a week after that, you know, that beautiful woman journalist was gone too. So it's been a very, very moving experience trying to help the community navigate through really the stages of grief.
Yeah.
I think we were all in shock in the beginning. And then, you know, and then some people were angry. But I think the shock and the numbness lasted a very long time, especially because we were all cooped up inside and watching to see, you know, each day after the shooting, found out more information, but it was really in dribs and drabs, and finding out who had been hurt, who had died. We didn't really know till the end of that week, the first week, all of the names. And you know, so it touched more and more and more people. And then, you know, at the end of that first week, we also found out that there was a survivor who had been the murderer's common law partner, who had been a victim of domestic violence for years, and that there had been these warning signs and warnings given, reports made, and nothing really was done about it. So, you know, after about 6 weeks after the shooting, I had a chance to speak to the prime minister about it. Again, he had called 3 times during that first week, but I spoke to him on a Zoom meeting and said, listen, I really feel that we need a public inquiry into what happened. My constituents want one. The families want one. You know, Nova Scotians need answers to their questions. And we want to make sure, you know, we would also like to have a feminist lens as well, a feminist analysis, because there are connections between men who commit violence privately in the home and then go out and commit public violence against many others, like mass killings. And more the statistics and events are showing that. So, you know, Linda McDonald and Jean Sarson here, the feminists, Nova Scotian Feminists Against Femicide, 30 Dalhousie law professors, senators, family members, surviving family members are all asking for this. And so the response I got from him, without going into details, because that would be I'm not allowed to do that, but it was very positive. And so I came away from that meeting knowing that something was going to be done. You have dogs too, I see. Do you? I have 2 little ones, but mine's being very quiet right now. So over there. Can you see them?
Mine's a Chihuahua, Lenore, so she has her moments.
I've got Shih Tzus, and they used to be a bit more like that when they were younger, but they've tamed down a lot. But they're great little companions.
Yes, they are.
So,
and so, Lenore, you were talking about, Jean and Linda and the work that they have done. So in terms of you putting in that request for the inquiry, were they involved with you in that process?
No, they weren't involved with that one. I mean, I talk to them. I see what they post. I'd seen articles. I'd seen the articles. I'd seen a lot of different articles, and I was paying attention to see what my constituents wanted. I mean, first and foremost, my job is to represent my constituents. And as those 6 weeks after the shooting went on, I felt like it was time to do something. And I also, after I spoke to the prime minister, I then I sent an email request, an official request to Bill Blair, the public safety minister, Minister Bill Blair, to request a public inquiry. And I explained why. And so, you know, shortly after that, that was on a Wednesday, I spoke to the prime minister. I sent the email to Bill Blair a day or so later. And then it was within a week, really, that the prime minister, I think the following Friday, he said that there was going to be that they were going to work with the province on an inquiry or review or whatever, and the Justice Minister of Nova Scotia, Mark Fury, announced the same thing.
Okay. So where does that fit now? Like, what's the timeline on that, or do you know at this point?
Well, I know reporters are trying to find out, and the Justice Minister had said it was going to be last week. Actually, he said it would be an announcement last week, but it didn't come. And both of them are saying that they are working together right now, the province and the federal government, to try and work out exactly what the details will be and how it will be done, and who will lead it. You know, who will be in charge. I'd like to see a woman in charge personally, maybe like a retired judge, something like that, somebody who understands about domestic violence, because it's frustrating when you hear some people speak that are in either law enforcement or other officials who don't seem to either understand, domestic violence, and they don't understand systemic racism and systemic misogyny, or they don't want to admit that it exists.
Yeah.
But it does. And after being in politics for 11 years now, it was my anniversary of my 11 years on June the 9th.
Wow.
10 years as an MLA, and and then several months as an MP. I know from being in government that departments are not yet completely well represented in all levels of government. We need more. We need more racialized people. We need more diversity. We need more women, and I think that will help us change the way decisions are made, the way laws are and regulations are created. And, I believe that the time is now.
Yeah. Man, Lenore, 11 years. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Quite a 7 months, eh?
Yeah. What was harder, the first 10 years or the last 7 months?
The last 7 months.
Yeah.
The last 7 months were, I got woken up on Sunday morning by the Prime Minister's office calling to say, "Oh my gosh, Lenore, it's come to our attention that there's a shooter who's armed and dangerous on his way to Truro. So let your people know, let your community know." I'm like, "Oh my God." I said, "Well, how are they trying to tell people?" They said, "Well, the RCMP had tweeted it." I said, "Well, that's fine, except that most people don't, they're older. Most people don't really do Twitter here. We do Facebook."
Yeah.
And so I went online and looked up the Twitter feed, and then I reposted that and just said, "Please, lock your doors, stay inside. If you see this man, he's armed and dangerous. Do not answer the door." I mean, what are you supposed to say? But as part of the inquiry that I'm asking for, I'm also saying I feel that an alert should have been sent out to warn my constituents right across Cumberland, Colchester, that there was an active shooting in process, and that he had killed people, and that that if that had gone out that night, Saturday night, or early Sunday morning, maybe people wouldn't have gone out.
Yeah. It really is tragic. And even, as everyone would say, hindsight is 2020, right? But in those moments, like you said, if anything could have changed, it would have made such a difference on that story, and how it ended.
And what do we do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
If there's somebody who has anger problems, rage, is violent, and if it's been reported that somebody may have or does have a stash of illegal weapons,
I think that's why the inquiry is important.
Yes.
From a not necessarily closure, probably is the right word, but so many people across the province and across the country were so invested in this. We're so, it's become this thing that happened in Nova Scotia and this thing that happened in our community. And people want to know why.
Yeah.
We might not get the absolute why, but hopefully we'll get some level of,
Yes. And you're right.
understanding.
I mean, people right across Canada were so good in reaching out to us. All the different Facebook sites that popped up, and Colchester supporting our communities, and Nova Scotia Strong, and this outpouring of love and devastation and broken hearts from right across the country, sending us pictures and little children who did chalk drawings and songs, and I mean, just making things, doing art, um, to try and cheer us up and let us know that we're not alone. I mean, that was an amazing thing to live through too. And even, I mean, I tear up a little bit thinking of it right now, because we needed that. We're all so alone in our homes and apartments, and watching this devastating thing happening and unfolding, it it suddenly, I think, made us all feel that, hey, the Canada cares about Nova Scotia and they love us. And so that was, I mean, it doesn't bring back the lives that were lost, but it certainly helped us get through. And to be honest, I think that, to be fair, the RCMP need to have an opportunity to be able to um, be seen, and have them be able to tell their story, exactly what happened and why they couldn't do some things, why they did some other things. That's what a public inquiry would also look at. And I know that I've asked for, and I asked in my letter to Bill Blair, uh, I said that I would like to see red flag laws enacted, which are laws that they have in other countries. And Bill Blair is open to this and is talking about it, and so is the Justice Minister. Red flag laws so that if somebody is being abused and violently attacked by their partner, it can be reported and something has to be done about it. And if that person has guns or anything like that, and the woman feels threatened or her children are threatened, they can be taken away. I mean, so I think that this is something that we need to look at as well. And domestic violence is oftentimes looked at as a private problem, like, oh well, she could just leave. No, many of them can't. They're either psychologically now hooked to that person, and feeling that and that person is sometimes threatening their families, as in the case here in Nova Scotia with the shooting. They're threatening their families, they're threatening them, and they feel responsible. I mean, it's a psychological thing. If you've ever been in an abusive relationship, you understand the dynamics. And so that's why I believe now we need to look at the connection between private violence can lead to public violence.
Yeah.
And therefore domestic violence should be considered, we need to stop it, as it is it's not, it's in the best interest of the public safety as well.
And with that red flag law, would that qualify? Like, I know there was a neighbor that had made police aware of some violence that had happened, and also the guns in the home. Would that neighbor then be able to let the RCMP or the police know about a potential red flag as well, or would it have to come from the person who's being violated themselves?
Yes, I believe so. And also doctors. If somebody, if a woman is going to the doctor and they see, it's like a child. If there's a child who's been abused, and the doctor sees that they've got marks on their body, or they keep coming in with a different broken arm or whatever, and they ask, well, what happened? And then the child doesn't really want to say, or, like, doctors can't do something about it if it's children. So why shouldn't they be able to do something if it's a woman who's being abused?
Yeah.
So again, it's taking it seriously. I mean, I think you guys tell me, but historically, I think the way things have been looked at is, the home, yes, the woman, it's her domain that she cooks and cleans and looks after the man, and it's kind of the man, it's his castle, and she's been seen like a chattel really for many years. And sadly, even though women are now in the workforce and making their way up, corporate ladders to a certain degree, I think when it comes to violence, it's still people shove it under the rug and they don't want to look at it, and they go, oh well, that's their problem, and I don't want to intervene. That's up to them, when really it should not be allowed, and there should be zero tolerance as far as I'm concerned. It's like racism, misogyny, control over, it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, I mean, I think if you're in it, you understand it. If you're not in it or have not experienced it, you can have empathy, but you can't actually understand it. But the important part is to have empathy for the people who have experienced it and listen and believe what they're telling you. So that's similar to what's happening with the Black Lives Matter movement too.
Exactly. And it's the Me Too movement too.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Can you hear me right now? Because I'm hearing a little bit of crackle on the line.
We hear you, but we also hear the crackle.
I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Technology, you just kind of flow.
Now my dog she wants to come up. Hold on. This is Ruby. Oh my goodness, Ruby. Oh my goodness, there you go. She's 13. Where is she? There she is. That's Ruby. She's the little mother of this bigger one. Say hi, Ayla. Are you there? Say hi, Ayla. I don't know if you can see her. I don't know if you can see her, but Ayla is 10 and she's twice the size of her mother.
Oh my God.
Somebody whose mother was 5'1" and I'm 5'8" and significantly larger. I feel her.
Yeah. So how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? It's been hard for people's mental health too. How are you guys feeling after everything we've been through?
I can't believe it's June, number one. In my brain, I was thinking this week was like June 10th, but it's not. It's June 17th. It's been a big blur. I've been lucky to have been busy with client work. That's been helpful for my mental health. But now I'm starting to focus on me instead of that. So trying to okay, now's the time to really realize what's happening and that life is not going back to normal anytime soon. So,
right.
Yeah, take care of yourself instead of focusing all your attention on something else. So.
And you're self-employed too, aren't you?
Yeah, both of us are. So yeah.
So have you been able to collect the CERB, or are you do you have enough work that you're doing okay, or has work kind of dried up a little bit over this last few months, 4 months?
For me, I collected it a couple of times because I panicked. So I do some work with a couple of provincial festivals, and of course they're canceled. The comedy festival would have been in April, so I had that initial panic about oh God, and then with my other clients I didn't know. So I do some work with English Jeweler. Is Paul going to be able to float this over the next few months? But he's been doing okay. So
that's
overall,
good.
I've been okay. But Sam, I think, is different.
I mean,
how are you doing, Sam?
Yeah, for me, it's been challenging. There's no question. When you work in events primarily, and as it appears that events are likely to be the last thing to come back, hard.
And you have a
But
definite family too.
yeah, and yeah, so that's been the biggest challenge for me in the last few months, is losing my mom. And in a lot of ways, the lack of work or the less work has actually been a bit of a blessing for me in terms of allowing time for grief and processing some of those feelings around losing my mom.
That's good.
So I mean, I don't mean to make that sound like a positive in any way, but it has helped me have a bit more time with my grief.
And you have a new dog, don't you?
Oh yes, and he's locked away. Like, you guys still have your dogs close by. I locked mine away just in case.
And he's being very quiet. I don't hear
Yeah.
barking.
Lenore, I remember reading when this all started that your mom and dad got kind of stuck in Europe. Did they make it home okay? And I assume they're back in Truro.
Yes, they were part of the wave of Canadians that were abroad when the Prime Minister said, please, it's time for Canadians to come home. And a number of Canadians were in places where suddenly, the COVID-19 situation was growing. And so there were major lockdowns in the cities and countries that these people were in, some with military police patrolling the streets saying you can't go out, you can only go out one at a time, you can only go to the pharmacy or the grocery store. And so I had about, I'd say, 20 constituents who were stuck in places all around the world, a lot through South America, and a couple in Spain, including my mom and dad, plus some folks in Portugal, El Salvador, Peru, Guatemala, and a couple of people from Truro who were stuck on an ocean liner in the middle of the ocean, who were stuck at sea with 300 Canadians and 3,000 people on the boat. And they were stuck on there for 44 days without being allowed to disembark anywhere. So they were panicking in a way, from the middle of the ocean. And so I would be up all night, Facebooking, messaging people, because sometimes that was the only way we could communicate. And getting all their details and saying, okay, I'm going to take this to the Global Affairs Canada, and then writing Global Affairs Canada to say, when's there going to be a rescue plane? When's there going to be, how are you going to get the people, the Canadians off the boat? I put myself in their shoes because I've traveled a lot. And I just know how I would feel if I was stuck like that and there's a pandemic growing and you just want to get home. So mom and dad were caught up in that. And so that added another level of stress. But it took a few weeks, and I managed to help everybody that had reached out to me get home, including mom and dad. And dad, who's going to be 88 on Monday, and mom, who's 81, are doing great. They all went into quarantine as soon as they got back. 14 days. Mom and dad actually kept themselves there for a month. They didn't want to take any chances. And so they're doing great.
Good.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, of course. No, it's funny because you have been in politics for such a long time, really. But the provincial aspect and the federal aspect is so different. You wouldn't necessarily. I mean, people would have made those calls to you anyway in your provincial role because you're Lenore, and they knew that you would try to help them. But from a federal point of view now, you can harass the people who can
exactly
happen, right? So
right, and they're colleagues. They are. Yeah. I'm part of the government, and so I've met them. I mean, I wouldn't say I know them well. I know some of them better than others, but the ministers have all been extremely accessible. for the caucus, and I've talked to a number of them many times now, and privately as well. And most of them all reached out when our horrible tragedy occurred, and just told me how sorry they were and how awful it was, and how they were there for me if I needed them. I could call anytime. I mean, I've never felt so supported in my entire life by by the people that I work with. To be honest, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing experience, and it is nice to be to know I can just pick up the phone or email personally a minister if I need advice or help with something, and to push something. And even the prime minister, I mean, going in on Zoom and asking him personally about the public inquiry. And also I pushed to have the CERB extended for another 8 weeks, because so many people are self-employed. There are many artists, people like that, who will not be able to work for the next one. I mean, shows, entire seasons are canceled.
Exactly.
Neptune Theatre not starting up until like January or February.
Yeah.
Stratford Festival, the dance companies, musicians.
Yeah.
And you have the unique point of view, having been in that world too. Yes. And that's where, myself, again, working with the comedy festival and knowing all these comedians who all of a sudden are like, I don't know, am I going to just do comedy in my living room now? I know. But you're in that world where you look at it and you look and you know what a theater looks like when it's full. Same with Sam. You know what that looks like. And to think of trying to make that work was distancing.
I know.
And laughter. Laughter makes things go this way.
And music.
Yeah.
I know. And also, all the nonprofit companies that are right across Nova Scotia that are part of our tourism industry. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen with tourism this summer? We really don't know. But I mean, right now the borders are still closed, and we just don't really know. Is there a second wave of the pandemic coming? Are people going to risk it? Do you really want to go into a theater and sit close with people? Right now, probably not. So Parsboro, the ships company, have announced that they're going to do their summer season online.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And I'm definitely going to be supporting them. And it was good to be able to get money to support these companies who are nonprofits, as well as incorporated companies and businesses. And one thing that's difficult, through this pandemic, is that we are making this up as we go to try and help save people and put food on their table and help them keep their houses and not go bankrupt. And I mean, so, imagine having to change your entire financial system within, 6 weeks, really, is what it took us.
Yeah.
And then sort of trying to figure out, well, who else is falling through the cracks? And no matter what we announced, as soon as we announced it, we'd be like, great, so look, we're going to help all these people. And then all of a sudden these other people would be like, yeah, but what about me? What about me? Don't forget, we're forgotten. It's like, no, we're just trying to get to everybody. It's not easy.
It's not easy. And like you said, I think we're forgetting sometimes that we're doing this for the very first time. We're trying to carve a path through something that we've never been before. So we just need to take it easy on each other, I think, a little bit more right now.
Yes. I mean, but meanwhile, of course, people are panicking, right?
Yes. And understandably. Yeah.
And to be honest, as somebody who was self-employed for 33 years, I know what it's like not to know if you can pay your mortgage or your rent, or from one month to the next. I lived that way for 33 years.
Yeah. When things are going well, you still panic. Like that's
what's that?
When things are going well, you still panic. I'm only 7 years into this, but I'm like, what if next week or next month everything goes pear-shaped and falls apart? You add that into it, and small business people and self-employed people have been, I don't know. We're all getting a big vacation.
Well, I know. Well, it's like it's like peering into the void and going, where's the path?
Yeah.
Where, right? Because we're so used to, we have an entrepreneurial spirit. And, that's why we became self-employed in the first place. But, in times like this, it feels like we are walking in danger. And and to be honest, as an actor, it took me many, many, many years to learn finally to have faith that everything would work out and that I had to make friends with uncertainty.
Yeah.
I had to make friends with uncertainty.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because most people like security. That's why they oftentimes go for a steady job and steady income and
I get that. And I'm anxiety over many things, but for some reason when it comes to employment, I always trust that the universe is going to work itself out for me in terms of opportunity and meeting people and making connections. I don't know why, but I've always felt that way.
You know
This
what?
community is a great one to have a business in. Yeah, this community is a great one to have a small business in because we are so supportive of each other, and we have such a great network. I mean, come back to local love Truro. I never would have started my business if I had still lived in Halifax. I would have just assumed that I couldn't do it. And here I was like, I can do this. I can do this here. People need my help. People like me. I can do it. So it's been it's a great supportive area to be a business owner, and especially a female small business owner.
I know. I was going to say that. I mean, isn't it great that so many of the small business owners are females? Now we need more diversity.
Yeah.
We need to support more Black and Indigenous businesses here in our and it's not easy for them. It's the government is now investing in First Nations businesses as well, and but I was really happy to see the Black Lives Matter rally here in Truro, the march, the biggest march we've ever had in the history of Truro. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And we thought Pride was big, and then you see that it just blew it away. The Pride parade was so big that first year.
Yes.
And now this just kind of made it even larger. It was incredible to see.
It was, and to be honest, today I did a statement in the Parliament. Because we have Parlview. We a number of us, the 338 MPs, I think it is, across the country. We can't be flying into Ottawa, or there were no hotels even open anyway for us to stay. But so many of us are doing it from our homes, and when they ask you to do a statement or ask a question or whatever, you do it from your home office. So today I did a statement, my first one, in the virtual Parliament, and it was about the mass shooting, but also about our need to come together to fight misogyny, racism, and discrimination of all sorts, because the fight for social justice never sleeps.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
You've been so vocal and supportive on all of those fronts and more over the last few years since I've known you, that's for sure. And I don't think that has gone unnoticed, for sure.
Thank you.
So, Lenore, you made quick reference. You made quick reference to mental health earlier. What are you doing for your mental health right now?
Trying to get some sleep. That's a start.
Yeah.
For months there, I mean, I just wasn't sleeping, and to be honest, the whole thing of the whole bunch of events, one after the other, put me in a state of hypervigilance. And anybody who's been in that state, if you have like chronic anxiety, for instance, knows what I'm talking about. So, you know, I've battled chronic anxiety my entire life. And you know, sometimes I have it under control, and then something will happen and set it off. And I mean, you know, this was like bang, bang, bang. And I felt like I just couldn't, I felt like, when's the next shoe going to drop? So it was
Yeah.
almost when something happened, I was like, oh, well, I knew something was going to happen. I mean, you know, my body was gearing up for it, and it wouldn't let me rest. So right now I'm still in kind of overdrive, trying to get, you know, deal with as many people who are needing my help as possible in all kinds of ways, shapes, and forms. But I am looking forward to taking a couple of weeks this summer and just shutting off the phone and trying to just, you know, slow myself down again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
So I'm gonna try. And thanks to Sylvia Este, I've been buying suppers by Sylvia, and she's been making healthy food for me to be able to buy once a week and then put in the microwave or put in the oven and try not to burn it. Try not to burn it because I'm not a cook. She's fantastic. She's been
Yeah.
feeding me. But of course, I'm paying for it, and
Yes.
it's worth every single penny. She has a small business herself, right? So
yeah,
you gotta
no,
feed
it's great. I'm going to pick up
life.
some. I'm going to pick up some pasta salad tomorrow from her. So.
Well, I'm picking up my weekly allotment tomorrow too. So no, it's been extremely helpful.
That's great. Lenore,
Yeah.
Michelle, do you have a last question you wanted to ask Lenore before we shut her down?
Yes, I mean, we've only done this 2 times before now, but this is kind of a standard question, I guess. It's basically, if you're coming home from somewhere, say you've been in Ottawa for 3 weeks and you're on your way back to Truro, what are you most excited? What place do you want to go to? What is the thing that makes you happy to be back in Truro?
My family.
Yeah.
You know, my family. It's for many years, those 33 years that I was a professional actor and traveling around the world, I was lonely, you know, and I and we didn't even have Skype, or we didn't even have cell phones back then. So, you know, I didn't get to see my family very often. I would see them at Christmas, and I would come home, I think, for 2 weeks in the summer, and it was never enough.
Yeah.
So now when I come home and I'm here at home in Truro, I just soak it all up. My mom and dad are close by. My sister and her kids are close by. My old friends from school are close by, and this incredible network of a community of women that we have, and even the Facebook world is really helpful. But I mean, I love Truro. That's why I moved home after 33 years of traveling, and I did. I mean, I'm so glad I did. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
We're glad you chose to move home, Lenore.
Anywhere.
We're glad you came home.
Thank you. No, I feel like part of the furniture here now. So I look forward to seeing you in the street or at a coffee shop when we can.
Yes, yes.
For sure. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time today, Lenore. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Absolutely. And if you want me to come back on again at some point and do a catch up, only too happy to do so. Let's just hope it's smoother sailing from now.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll from all the roads.
Yeah.
And we'll get through the pandemic and get our economy back. But the main thing is people's health.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
the main thing. We've got to keep ourselves and each other safe.
Wonderful.
Well, on that note, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Lenore.
Bye.
Bye.